when we make an investment, what kind of return do we expect from that investment? Let's say we invest in the stock market, we at least expect some kind of return. It would be great if we had a big return, wouldn't it? But at least we expect some kind of return. I don't play the stock market, so that doesn't really refer to me, but I invest in other things, like I invest in a car. And what I expect in return from that car is about 150,000 miles, at least, around in there. I take care of the car, and I get 150,000 miles out of my car or more. Okay? Well, we also invest in other things like a house. You invest in the house, you expect it to stand. Do maintenance, but then, it serves you. And other things, or we invest in relationships and friendships. We invest in a relationship, we expect some mutuality from it, and that's what defines a relationship, is mutual love and support, among other things. But that's what we expect. Well, God expects something from us as well. And that's what this gospel is about in the parable that Jesus tells us today. So, we've got this landowner who has a vineyard. He gets the vineyard all set. It's just all perfect and the vines are good. And then he gets some tenants to take care of the vineyard. And these tenants, he has a deal with them. You get a good portion of the produce, and then I get another part. Deal? Deal. Okay? So, the tenants go in there and take possession of the vineyard, and they get to the produce, and then God's landowner, who represents God, sends his servants to say, okay, now give to God what it is that is his. You take what you need for yourself, your needs and your wants, and you give some to God. That's the deal. Well, they didn't. As they heard, they rejected him, they beat him, they stoned him, they killed him. So he sends them another set of servants that do the same thing, and then he says, I'll send them my son, and they'll listen to him. But they say, let's kill him, and we can have it all. It's ours, because he's the inheritor. That's not good. It's not good. Because that's the deal. You expect some return on your investment. And what the tenants are basically saying is, we don't want to be accountable for anything. We want it all for ourselves, which is, I'm going to be godless. God doesn't figure into what I'm doing. God doesn't figure into my life, and I don't owe him a thing. It's all for me. No accountability, this godless kind of a world, if we choose. And we have an extreme example of that, which happened last week in the shooting in Las Vegas. Here this guy he's a millionaire. He had 2 or 3 homes, and yet somehow in his mixed up mind, he thought he could do what he wanted, go to the 32nd floor of that hotel and just start spraying bullets on a group of thousands of people at a concert. Godless, wouldn't you say? God expected more from him who had so much. Didn't think he was accountable. I believe he will be. Or take a look at our world. We've had some hurricanes that have really kind of torn the world apart. And, around, not too far from us. Devastation. And scientists will tell us that we have a part in that. God's made this beautiful planet. In all our searching of all the universes there are, we haven't found another planet that looks like ours. It's just beautiful. It gives us what we need. He's prepared the planet for us. And we take hold of it, and we don't take care of it. We're not good stewards of it. Serious scientists, the vast majority of them will say that human activity has something significant part to play in the warming of the planet and eventually in these hurricanes. And if we don't want to talk about that, well, how about polluted water? Who's polluting it but us? And I could go on. We're not being good stewards of our planet. God expects more from us, doesn't he? Or let's take something else. Health care. There are some who want to repeal the Affordable Care Act without doing anything to take care of the people who would be dropped off health insurance because of it. Now, I'm not defending the Affordable Care Act, all right? It's not my bailiwick. But I do know that it's not good stewardship by our politicians who are elected to serve all of the people, not just those who voted for them, elected to serve all of the people for the common good, and they aren't being good stewards of that job that we give them by dropping millions of people off health insurance. Would you call that good stewardship of the trust that's been given to you? Well, I wouldn't. We are made to be people who are gifted by God, and especially in this country, we are. And God calls us to be good stewards of what we have been given. To receive it, to enjoy what we need, and some of the things that we want, and to share with others our time, our abilities, our resources are for us, but not for us alone. We are called to something more than that. And if we have a right to expect something from our investments, so does God. Doesn't he? And it is within us to do that. Did you notice in the parable that the owner sent people, his servants, over and over again to try to influence his tenants to give what they owed? God sends us messages all the time to share what we owe him. What do we owe him? With the hurricanes, as well as with the shooting in Las Vegas, I noticed something that I always notice when after these things and they find some people who have done something which is they call heroic. So the reporter goes up to the person that they think is heroic and they say, well, you just did a great thing here, and what do you say? What do you think about it when people call you a hero? Are you a hero? And what do they say? No. They say no. I'm doing what anyone would do. It's already within us to do what we are called to do. To be good stewards of our lives and to give of what we have. That's all God asks, is to share that part with others. I read a short article in the paper yesterday where these firefighters are coming back from a situation over in Las Vegas, and all sorts of people started coming toward them. They stopped the truck, found out what was going on. They all jumped out of the truck and went and did this. And the guy in the paper says, we just did what we were trained to do. It's ours to give. So the question is, what do we owe? What is mine to give? In our families. Don't we all owe something to our families? Don't we all need, for the sake of the family, to do our part? And so, I gotta do that again. I don't wanna. I see, you know what I mean. And that's not just an 8-year-old, is it? The thing is to realize what we have been given what we have received. Wow, we are so fortunate. And in gratitude for that, to joyfully move into something else. Okay, we all get in bad moods, fine, but we still do what we need to do because of what's been given us. It is being called forth in our families, in our parish. We have enough people to take care of all of our ministries and more. But they're not all signed up. We'll deal with that in the next few weeks. What is my part, you would say? And your part isn't going to be your part. What is my part? What do I owe back to this community? What do we owe to our broader community? Places where we work and the people we know. What is within us to give back? St. Paul says at the end of that reading, he says, keep doing what you have been doing. And keep in mind of what we have learned, what we have received, what we have seen. And do it. And if we do these things, the reading says, the God of peace will be with us.